now we'll see what Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers do in the second race of the playoffs from the short track here at Richmond Raceway.
Still amazed how aggressive these drivers are. No practice. First laps on the track. Time to turn one with full confidence.
And on top of that, Jeff, they haven't been here this year. A lot of tracks they've been going to lately they've been to earlier in the year. Now this is a completely green track as far as being here earlier in the year. This is the first time they've been here in 2020.
And on top of that, this aero package on these cars had way less downforce than they had here in the past. So all these drivers are learning their race cars, learning how they feel underneath somebody, behind somebody, completely different than last year.
And off turn 4, Clint Boyer almost got into the inside of his teammate, Eric Almirola.
Unique racetrack here too, guys. The back stretch is straight, the front stretch never straight. You're always turning through the front stretch here at Richmond.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the Xfinity races. Spun out the flag stand one time here. Wondered how did I do that? But it's tough. You know, there's good grip right now on these new tires. But as you get going late into the run, you won't be wide open until you get to the flag stand. And you might even run 3/4 throttle all the way down the front straightaway to keep the rear tires from spinning out front of the car.
On the right side, you see Kyle Busch in the 95 of Christopher Bell working their way up through the field after starting at the back. One advantage both of these cars will have, Rick, will be that competition yellow on or around lap 30. That's a big break. Because if you start in the back here at Richmond, regardless of how good your car is, you see the traffic they're in versus the left side, Kevin Harvick, clean air. The leader's coming and coming quick.
Yeah, you think about that, and you also have to remember that Kyle Busch is going to possibly miss out on stage points. He's going to have to work hard to get himself into the top 10. Finish out this stage.
Another thing drivers are learning is how much of these tires fall off on speed. In the Xfinity races, before this race, we saw major fall off in tire speed as the run goes on. These drivers are going to have to learn how hard they can push their cars early in the run and what the price is to pay if you push them too hard.
Denny Hamlin, one of the best on short tracks, especially here. What you could call his home track. Chesterfield just a couple miles away from this racetrack. And you hear how long he's out of the gas through these turns.
I think that's what makes Denny Hamlin such a good short track racer, although his resume would say he can win anywhere. When I think of Denny, I think of the short tracks. When it comes down to that throttle control, I think he's one of the most talented at hard throttle. You mentioned not wide open to the start-finish, Dale Jr., but that tells me that you're part throttle a long time around this racetrack.
Yeah, and I didn't like the way he drove away from that 24 car, who's now getting passed by the two Brad Keselowski, William Byron. No, you imagine some guys may be trying to save some tire here, but the 24 car looks like he's struggling on drive-off early in this race.
Steve, when he says save tires, as a crew chief, are you limited for this race?
You have 8 sets in the pits, which is more than enough to do the race. You know, you break it up about every 50 laps, 45 laps. The big question is how many yellows are we going to have? When do you want to put them on? Everybody's going to put fresh tires on for the competition yellow. When I think of safe tires here, it's not just physical tires in the pits, but I'm telling my driver, hey, don't spin the tires ridiculous. You know, just go as fast as the car can go. Anytime you slide a tire, whether it's the front tire sliding or the rear tire spinning, you are hurting the grip. And it looks like the right rear brakes blowing on the 24 car. That's interesting. Normally we see the fronts going quicker.
And Steve, if the 24 driver was your driver, he would have just radioed in and told you that across the center of the corner, that car will not turn the way they want it to. Hendrick Motorsports has struggled here the last couple of years, and they hope they got it right tonight. But so far for the 24, he's losing positions instead of gaining.
The key to Richmond, from the crew chief standpoint, is turn the middle of the corner. If it changes direction in the middle of the corner, that allows me to help so many other things. Your loose in gets better, your loose off. We're going to hear a lot of complaints, but I think good cars versus bad cars, it comes down to the middle of the corner.
So seriously, Steve, how alarming is it only a dozen laps into this race to see glowing right rear rotor on the 24?
I'm concerned. I mean,